Good morning. What an excellent choice Whittaker made for this morning's topic. If Every Woman in the World is the title of this song. It's a hymn from, number 1026 from our UU hymnal, Singing the Tradition, Singing the Journey. And it goes, if every woman in the world had her mind upon freedom, if every woman in the world dreamed a sweet dream of peace. And it goes on. This is a song written by Karen McKay in 1983, and it's a song that's been taken up by many women's groups because it expresses a strong belief in the power of women to influence global culture and to bring peace to the world. Thank you, Whittaker, for choosing that song and doing such a good job with it this morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Columbus. We're an exclusive spiritual community of people who support each other in their personal searches for truth and meaning. I'm Connie Ussery, your volunteer service leader this morning. I'm also your speaker today. We pre-recorded my talk at the Grace Fellowship Hall earlier this week. So I'm reaching you from home today. And the painting behind me is by our friend and artist, Brenda Stevens. It's Wind Forest, Little Scaly Mountain and it was inspired by a scene at the Mountain UU retreat near Highlands, North Carolina. They're just reopening with a lot of programs going on, but right now they're offering a program called Sacred Humor. And it really sounds interesting to me because sacred humor is a thing that I really believe in, and I hope it'll be well attended. We now have a few announcements, in honor of Women's History Month, I'll be discussing the idea that the secret to world peace is women. Today's reading will be by Danielle Neal, our friend who now lives in Pennsylvania, and Whittaker Locke will continue to offer music as well. We have some announcements this morning, beginning with Zoom instructions from our technology coordinator, David Rush.
Thank you, Connie. As always, we're recording this service for posting to YouTube later. If you don't want your smiling face to appear on YouTube, you could click on the stop video button, but we always like seeing faces, and you can subscribe to our channel while you're there. After the close of the service, after the closing number, we will have a discussion time and a bit of a social time. So any questions you have about the talk, save them for then, and that is not recorded and will not be part of YouTube, so people can speak freely. Back to you, Connie.
Thank you, David. We now have a few announcements for you from the president. Join us for our Wednesday night discussion group on Zoom at 7 p.m. Links can be found to these Zoom sessions on our website, but if you want to get the email that reminds you to come to the meeting and attend and also gives you the link, sign up through UUFC at gmail.com, or you can go to our website, UU Columbus GA at .net, at Gmail. So just go to our website or to our, and you can find both links to the email and to Zoom meetings. Our Board of Trustees has decided to hold our first in-person service in our parking lot area near the Meditation Garden on the 4th of April. So that's Easter Sunday. We'll be holding the service at 10:30 a.m. and we'll be following the rules set by the CDC for social distancing and for wearing masks. So if you plan to attend that meeting, it's 2 weeks from today. Weather permitting, it will be outdoors in the parking lot, and it'll be our first in-person meeting in about 6 months. So I'm really excited that this is going to come about, and let's all hope that the weather's good that morning. If all goes well, this will be simultaneously aired on Zoom and it will be uploaded to YouTube. If it rains, the Zoom session will be still held inside Fellowship Hall, but it will not be open to membership or friends. So if it rains, just stay home and watch it on Zoom. As we take these steps toward normal services, we invite you to bring your masks and join in as those opportunities arise. Again, uucolumbusga.org is our website. I'm glad I got it right this time. Be sure to join us next week for another Zoom service. This will be Rick Spradlin, and he'll be giving an introduction to Universalist Christianity. This March the 28th service will not be in person. It will be offered on Zoom only, and then probably repeated on YouTube. So remember, don't show up at UU next week. It's April the 4th that we'll be in the parking lot. And now we start our services by lighting the chalice, which symbolizes reason, tolerance, and freedom, and also justice, compassion, and love. Now let's affirm our 7 principles that sum up the core values in Unitarian Universalism. Please read them aloud with me. The inherent worth and dignity of every person. 2, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. 3, a free and acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. 4, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. 5, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. 6, the goal of world community in peace, liberty, and justice for all. And 7, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. One of the ways we proclaim vitality of our fellowship is through sharing brief and personal joys and concerns. Please note this is not a time for announcements or commercials or politics. Rather, it's a time to share what's important in our own lives. And we'll start by lighting a candle for those sorrows or concerns you might not want to share in public. And now I'll ask David and Elise if anyone has posted any joys and concerns that they'd like to share.
Danielle has a joy. Her daughter just crossed over from Cub Scouts to regular Scouts, and she's very proud. And so are we. I have a joy. We have a new person visiting us today from Massachusetts. Her name is Jackie, and she joined us for, it was either the Wednesday night discussion or maybe the Friday lunch, one or the other, maybe the Friday lunch. And she joined us from Massachusetts, and she's thinking of possibly moving either to Columbus or to Savannah, but we're hoping. But I told her wherever she ends up, and even if she doesn't move, she's welcome anytime to become part of our tribe. So welcome, Jackie. And let's see, another joy, my son turned 30 today. So that's a joy for me. He's 30. Anyone else have any joys, concerns?
Well, thank you. Oh, spring is here.
There we go.
That's a joy. And if you haven't been riding around looking at all the beautiful, irises and daffodils and azaleas, I hope you'll get out and see those soon.
I'm gonna light a candle for spring.
Yay. Hal, you had a joy or concern?
I'd just like to say that the Earth-centered group last night were out celebrating the equinox, and I went over and saw them, and I thought that was a special joy of using the meditation garden and smelling the bonfire as they had it. It wasn't quite a bonfire. It was great.
Good. If there are no other joys and concerns, we'll now celebrate, do our celebration of life toast. The celebration of life toast is unique to this fellowship, and we do it a little differently on Zoom. You can join in with your favorite beverage or cup of coffee. We toast Our toast carries no doctrinal symbolism. It's not a sacrament. It's simply a warm tradition among our fellowship, and we invite you to share it with us. Please lift your cups. I'll read the toast, and we'll all join together on the last line. We celebrate life with its beauty and its pain. We lift these cups in tribute to the achievements of human minds and hands, in sensitivity to the frustrations of misfortune and heartache, not fixing blame or credit for the outcomes of chance, sensing the risk, savoring the joy, sharing it all, knowing of the certainty of death, and remembering the value of each moment. We drink our toast of celebration to this time, to the future, to each other, to the throbbing of the earth and sea and sky with life. Together, we drink this toast in celebration of life. And now for the offering. This morning's offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship. Today is Third Sunday, and our Give Away the Plate tradition for community outreach programs supports our 7 principles. Unless you designate your offering to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Columbus, today's donations will go toward feeding the valley. We also support other initiatives that can be found on our website to the homeless shelter and some other programs. You can mail, but since COVID has begun, we've been supporting Feeding the Valley because that's an initiative that we feel is really important right now. The others are important too, but we support those in different ways. You can mail offerings to UUFC at P.O. Box 698, Fortson, Georgia, 31808, or use PayPal and hit the Send Money button. Put the recipient as the UUFC email address. That's uufcga@gmail.com. So while you look for your checkbook or sign into PayPal, Whittaker will play for us a beautiful piano solo that he found by Fanny Mendelssohn. She is Felix Mendelssohn's sister. Their piano teacher, Whittaker was telling me earlier, thought perhaps Fanny was the better student because she played like a man. So we can see some of the sexist attitudes that made it difficult to find work by Fanny, and some of her work I think was even attributed to her brother at one point. Then later, Danielle Neal, excuse me, never mind. So Whittaker will play the piano solo by Fanny Mendelssohn. Thank you so much, Whittaker. You did a wonderful job with that. The title of my program today is The Secret to World Peace is Women. And these, as I was researching this topic, I found 3 women whose work encompasses all 7 principles of UU and even more. So I'm so proud to be able to give you this program this morning, and I hope you enjoy it.
The secret to world peace is women. That idea seems simple. If you were driving along in traffic and you saw this message on a bumper sticker, would you pull forward to read the rest of it or other bumper stickers that might be on that car? What would you expect to see? End poverty now? Save the planet? Educate girls? Social justice reform? The secret to world peace is women. So many messages spring from that one message. And I think we might feel like we knew a little bit about the person who put that sticker on the car. I took this idea from globalcitizen.org because I was researching Women's History Month and came across a lot more information on International Women's Day. These women that I'm going to talk about today weren't featured on that website, but a lot of other women were, and they were women making history now. So I thought, who's making history now that we would be already familiar with, that we could talk about and see what they've done and celebrate what they're doing as things progress? Today, media celebrities are lending their faces and their support to globalcitizen.org. These are people in the entertainment field, and you would know their faces. They've garnered a lot of corporate support, too, for these causes. And you know maybe about their activism because of that. The powerful goals of globalcitizen.org, though, are very similar to the goals of 3 women I'm going to talk about today. But these women have never been entertainers. They've never been noticed until they found their voices and some celebrity for using those voices. They're demanding attention to outrageous injustices around the world. And I will talk about ones you already know. They're pushing into the global arena of business and finance, science and culture, and politics, and they're making an impact right now. Do you remember the first time you saw Greta Thunberg? Me too. She was only, she's 14 now. She's 18 now. She was 14 when she really got her voice and started talking. It was just 4 years ago that she skipped school and sat outside the Swedish Parliament building to protest climate change in action. And so we all know about that day. Her father joined her. She got attention from the press. And you remember the nervous laughter when she spoke at the UN auditorium on the global climate change meeting? This was after she had sailed her boat across the Atlantic Ocean to get attention for her cause. That was 2 years ago. She spoke before those international representatives, and kids around the world joined her in the largest protest the whole world has ever seen. 4 million people joined her that day. Her message was, our house is on fire. It made her point very clear, and it's been taken up around the world. And that may be what made her audience laugh. They saw themselves hemming and hawing and making committees and action plans, and at the same time, they're putting out little fires everywhere. And it isn't just her house, it's our house. And the most powerful commodity in the world is fueling that fire. Greta got her idea from Emma Gonzalez, one of the Parkland school shooting students who decided to stage a protest and not return to school. And that's where the idea came to Greta, that she could get some attention perhaps by skipping school and saying, this is more important. And I'm not coming back on Fridays until you do something. In her 2018 TED Talk, Greta says, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, OCD, and selective mutism. That basically means I don't speak unless I think it's important. And what about Malala Yousafzai? You know her face and you know the scars. Her cause has brought her celebrity. She doesn't entertain, but she engages her audience in a way that makes everybody her ally. She was targeted and hunted down by the Taliban in Pakistan for using her voice to bring attention to her right to an education, to every girl's right to an education. When educated girls grow up and become educated women, they enrich their homes and their communities. But they tried to silence her, and she became more determined. She gave her first speech when she was 11, and that was just about her right to have an education. On October the 12th, the Taliban had targeted her and hunted her down on a school bus and shot her in the face to silence her. But she said they only destroyed her hopelessness and her fear. Just 1 year later, she took that cause to the United Nations in a speech delivered during the youth takeover at the United Nations. And her story shocked the Assembly and the world. Who could argue with her cause? She continued speaking, writing, and garnering support. And from our own anxious fight for voting rights in Georgia, you know Stacey Abrams. We know her background from a large family, her struggle to get her education that took her all the way to Yale University Law School. In her teen years, what was happening to her? She was 20 when she was watching America's reaction to the LA riots. She saw police use of excessive force and one of the largest riots America has ever seen. It resulted in government cutbacks for cities, a business model for managing city governments, and cutbacks even on national programs like HUD. But her rapid rise to politics in Georgia and her fight to bring our state into the 21st century with strong leadership that represents everyone, we know the outrageous outcome of her attempt to run for governor of the state of Georgia. Our state leadership thought they could defeat her, but they just made her more brave and more confident. They are desperately trying to silence her right now. But she becomes more determined, and her name is synonymous with fair fight. So these women have made recent history. They're global celebrities for their cause: climate action, education for girls, and voting rights. When Greta Thunberg last spoke at the climate summit, she made a lot of enemies. Some world leaders thought that she shouldn't get so much attention. She's just a girl and she's so young. But she found her voice, and she won't be calmed down by people who want to distract from her message because of her age and her sex. She's been ridiculed, and now she thinks some of that ridicule is funny. There was a prankster on YouTube who posted a message, he's a comedian, helpline message that says, if you're a grown adult who needs to yell at a child for some reason, the Greta Thunberg helpline is here to tolerate you. And so then there was a Twitter feud that you all remember. Greta seems like a very happy young girl. And she replied, and Donald seems like a very happy old man. And so it went on for a while, but she was too busy for aimless tweets back and forth. Just 2 months ago, she partnered with the Dalai Lama for a live stream presentation, and it was followed by a panel discussion. This was the announcement for that event, and I'll read this for you. The Dalai Lama and youth climate activist Greta Thunberg discussed the climate crisis via live stream on 9 January as part of a panel hosted by Mind and Life Institute. Can you imagine these two, 85-year-old Dalai Lama and 18-year-old Greta Thunberg, discussing the precious fragility of the world in terms of the past and the future? And then followed by a panel of renowned scientists to talk about it in more depth. They were addressing what can be done to slow down this threat before it's too late. You can find this discussion now. Just Google those two names and it pops right up. And so does an application for the 2021 Summer Research Institute. Malala just finished her education at Oxford, and she tweeted, "It's hard to express my joy and gratitude right now as I completed my philosophy, politics, and economics degree at Oxford. I don't know what's ahead." But with a degree in philosophy, economics, and politics, it's pretty clear what might be ahead for Malala. While she worked on that impressive degree, she finished her second book, We Are Displaced, My Journey and Stories from Refugee Girls Around the World. Malala Day is celebrated December 7th by spotlighting efforts for education for girls and reform in different countries every year. Her fund targets these causes. She's still a young woman with a sense of humor. When Elon Musk fired his Tesla into space, a prankster on Twitter tweeted, "Musk's Tesla has lost its orbit and crashed into the earth, killing Malala." Well, she tweeted back directly to Elon Musk, and she said, "Hello from the other side, and I'm keeping the car." At first, she was guided to success by her father, the man who said he was honored the day she was born. She wanted to become an educated woman, though, with her own voice. She wanted to show her brothers what being a strong woman was like. Check out Malala.org. Right now, she is concerned that COVID-19 might be restricting education for about 20 million girls around the world, and many of them won't be offered an education for a long time following this pandemic. As for Stacey Abrams in Fair Fight, state legislators in all but 6 states in the U.S. are working hard to suppress voting rights. Right now. Her face is the face of political change in America. Right now, she's making the talk show circuit. Her battle for voting rights has just begun, really. She's written 3 more books since that 2018 razor-thin gubernatorial race. It seems like it happened years ago, doesn't it? Her most recent book is a handbook for success for helping to flip a state, helping to encourage voting rights. She's on cable news, talk shows, and forums around the country. The book's title is Our Time Is Now, Power, Purpose, and the Fight for a Fair America. Who can take issue with that? It's making us think about what a fair America would look like. She knows where to start, and what to stop. She's become a world celebrity, engaging everyone, including her detractors, in a debate about election integrity and real democracy. Stacey Abrams didn't give up when she couldn't make that 2018 election fair. She made a plan for the next one. On a talk show recently, she was asked how she helped 2 Democratic senators get elected in Georgia. And she said, "I had some time on my hands. If they had just given me that other job, I might have been distracted." She'd been taught by her parents that public service is the key to living a good life and exercising her talents, putting her exceptional education to work for a cause. Greta Thunberg was a Time Person of the Year in 2019 for her success in turning vague anxieties about the world climate crisis into a movement calling for global change. Malala won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014. Both she and Stacey Abrams were runners-up for Time Person of the Year in 2015 and 2020. Their fathers were with them, their mothers too. They took encouragement from people around them, but their voices were, and they still are, singularly their own. Their roles might have begun close to home, but they've reached out and made their causes worldwide. They've won honors and awards. They've written books, and they've appeared at conferences. They're featured on talk shows. Some people label them as loud and shrill, and they don't care. Each of them is focused, intelligent, engaging, and they're supported by a wide population of dedicated global citizens, people who join in the work and people who donate, people who join the rallies and the marches, people who put bumper stickers on their cars. From the Me Too movement to breakout films and television series to positions of world leadership, women are in the forefront of change around the world right now. They're closing the gap, breaking the ceilings, leading in science. You can help to spread their messages. You can join their causes with funding and with action. You can be the support behind the faces and the voices. These women and many others seem convinced that the secret to world peace is women.
Thank you for listening this morning. Remember that after the service and Whittaker's final hymn, we will end the recorded part of the program and join each other for a discussion session off camera for questions and answers. So now we will extinguish the chalice here, that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. So would everyone join me now in body or spirit for the closing words? With unity of spirit, we go our ways in universal fellowship until we meet again. Our final hymn that Whittaker will play this morning is hymn number 109 from Singing the Tradition. As we come marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill lofts gray, are the first lines of a poem called Bread and Roses. It was written to commemorate the successful textile strike in Lawrence, Massachusetts in 1912. It's been put to music by 3 different composers, and today it's associated with labor rights, women's suffrage, and with social justice and dignity groups around the world. So Whittaker, thank you for choosing this song this morning.